you are a world leader who inspires at the moment many teachers, many schools. Why do you think that happened?
I think, I don't know whether I'm a world leader and that inspires. I don't think I set out to inspire people. I think the stories are important. And I have become a storyteller for the children's voices, right? And so, because I'm continually inspired by the children, I think that's my responsibility. So I see myself as responsible for telling the story well. And maybe that connects to people. I think stories always connect to people. So I'm not setting out to inspire you, I'm just telling a story to you. And I find that stories have a way of reaching the heart. So it's not just the mind. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just telling a story. So I think maybe that helps.
And what's your story? How did it start? When do you think vocation started?
My story is that of a mother, like so many other people, and a mother's promise. I think that's my story. So when I found that my child was going to school, and he'd just become a number in the class, and the teacher didn't even know his name, I realized that I didn't even know that I had that story inside me. But it came because of a mother's promise. And so I feel it started as for my son, the promise, but today I feel that the promise is for all children. So I think that's continues to be the story, that how can we not honor the promise to our children? How can we not? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Were you a teacher yourself?
No, I was a designer.
Right.
I still believe I'm a mother first, a designer second, and maybe an educationist third. So I think I still fundamentally go to my mother's instinct to be fierce and fabulous, but also to then recognize that the process is more important than the product. So that's my design hat that I put. And then comes the education hat, that, we must learn something.
And from the mother's hat, those first years that we mothers spend at home, or the time that we can afford to have at home with them, what do you think is the key that the time makes it worth it?
I think they are invaluable, that time that you have, because you plant seeds. And I think we're all in some way gardeners. All we're doing is planting seeds and making sure that the soil is rich and nourished. And that nourishment comes in those early years. That love, the hug, the listening, the reminding the child that they are important. Your face should light up when you see a child. And these doesn't need any training. It's not an elite idea. It's just common sense. It's just simple thing that I found makes the biggest impact. And it's unimportant which demographic, which language, which geography a mother is in. I find that those first 5 years, you plant seeds and you make the soil rich, so that the journey afterwards becomes a very enabling and nourishing journey. Like we're talking about thriving, right? The thriving comes when the soil is nourished, and the nourishing keeps happening through love and listening and conversations. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think most of us, your schools, my schools, we have many children who are not as lucky as having a childhood as happy as you describe. Do you think school can actually cure the lack of that love and that tenderness in the infancy?
I think it is a very fundamental responsibility for schools to do that. I find that, yes, while that might be true for maybe there are certain conditions that parents might not be able to offer that, I feel schools become a fantastic opportunity. Those 15 years till now with us. It's such a great opportunity. So I think healing is responsibility of a teacher now. I don't think just teaching, but reaching children. And I think you can heal many wounds with love and compassion and listening. So I find that schools have to become that I think schools need to be a hug for a child.
So let's go back to your story. When your child got to school, then you became suddenly a school mom.
Yeah, oh God, so many years ago. Yeah, when I took my son out, and then I decided to start my school in my own house. And but I'll tell you something very interesting. I remember the day I was going to start the school, 26th of Jan 2001. I was taking the few parents that had called. I said, come, I'll show you my school. And the earthquake hit. The biggest earthquake that hit my state on that day, the earthquake, 8-pointer. And everything collapsed. The building broke, the parents left, everything collapsed. So my story started with a big earthquake. But I feel in some way maybe that was a message, because today the children are still making waves, but
different waves.
Interesting waves. Yeah, so yeah, I started in my home and grew 1 year at a time. I was in no rush. I was going nowhere. I started listening to the children who came, and the children started informing me how they want to learn. So it was such a fabulous journey, still is. I keep saying, when in doubt, go back and talk to the child. It's going to solve everything.
And now, could you describe your school at the moment?
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, the school is now 17 years old. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful place. It has birds, and it has monkeys, and it has peacocks, and it has the laughter of children, and it has conversations, and it has love. And you will find that when you walk into the school, you'll feel like something is right. I can feel the warmth. You will see people who are smiling. You will see children who are confident. You will see families that are sitting in the lawn. It's a place that is giving a vision of what can be. I keep saying Riverside is not telling you what is, it's showing you what can be. And it's possible with ordinary people, or with my team that is fantastic, and the kids, and it's got a little mini India. So it's got children from all walks of life. So there's a lovely diversity. So it's a special place, yeah.
And how old are the children there? From which age to what?
We start at 2.5, and we take them till 18.
18?
Yeah.
Okay. So
and we're still children there. So even if I'm 52, I'm still learning.
All right. And so now I suppose you will have some ex-students.
Yes. Yes.
So what are the memories from those students?
I have 6 batches that have graduated, and we keep hearing their stories, because I've told them that they must keep sending stories to us. That have we done right by them, or can we shift? Can we change? And it's wonderful, because I hear the stories of what the seeds we planted I was talking about, and how it's finally blossoming. So there's this wonderful boy who wrote back. He said, no, Kiran ma'am, he's in an engineering college, and he says, the friends laugh at me when I say thank you to the canteen boy, as if it's a remarkable thing, but he says we have to say thank you, but people don't. Children are graduating with degrees, but there is no compassion. Or there was this girl, one of my girls who went to a very fancy college, and she wrote me a mail. She said, here, being cool means to be uncool. We have to drink and smoke. And I decided no. Okay, ma'am, I learned how to say no. And these stories are coming. So for me, I want to come up with a book with all the emails of my alumni. But it's a very wonderful, I think, gift to see this.
Now, eventually, there is a network around your school that is growing very quickly.
Yeah.
How did it start to expand?
When I started Riverside, I was not starting by saying, oh, let me be the best school. I think what today we've realized is that we cannot be, our promise is not to be the best school for the world, in the world, it's to be the best school for the world. And in many ways, the idea of sharing became part and parcel of the story from the beginning. We would document our stories and we would share them. I think in education, we don't share. We keep all our doors closed. Oh, what will somebody take my idea? What will I do? So I think people were surprised that we were sharing. So when they would come to me, even in the third year, and they would say, oh, can we take a picture of this? I said, please take it and go. And that surprised a lot of people. That, aren't they scared? Aren't they worried? And I keep thinking, you get worried if you feel that's the last idea you will ever have. That's a very limited way of thinking. So I think when people started taking the stories and sharing, I think it became a place for people to come more. And then the story started spreading even further. So it was not by planning to let's go and tell our stories. I think the natural way of the ethos of sharing meant people started listening with more respect to the story we were telling. So today, yes, Riverside is considered one of the top schools in the world. It's become a place for many people to come and learn from. So I think that keeps us very excited and on our toes again, because we're responsible for the story we are sharing. And then, of course, with Design for Change, today that same fundamental principles have gone to 65 countries now. And we're right now working with the Vatican to take Design for Change to 198 countries and take 8,000 children to the Vatican in 2019 November.
All right.
So that's going to be a wonderful year.
So Design for Change is a methodology?
Yeah.
It's a revolutionary movement? What is Design for Change?
It's a simple superhero formula.
Which is?
Feel, imagine, do, and share. 4 simple steps. It starts with empathy, feel. It goes to imagination, solutions. It goes to do, action. And then it goes to share, storytelling. So when children go through the feel, imagine, do, share, they really believe they can. Because it's no longer teacher told me. It is, I can do it. So rather than going in telling children, oh, you must care about this project, you must change this project, we're telling children, what bothers you? We're listening. And in that act of listening, you give respect to the child's identity. And then that identity becomes stronger. So Design for Change is just a framework. It's your story in the process.
Imagine a school wants to follow Design for Change.
Easy. You can do 2 ways. One, if you get onto the website, dfcworld.com, there is a toolkit available. You can just download, whatever. But if you're in a particular country, you can select the country partner. If you are in one of the 65 countries, then we recommend that you connect with a partner in that country and then submit your story to them. But if you're not, and you just want to do it in your school, in your class, you just have to download it. All the materials up there, all the inspiration is up there, and all the stories of the children. So I would say start by first showing stories to inspire your children to say, my God, look at that child in India, or look at that child in Bhutan, or look at that child in Brazil. Inspiration is critical for the human mind. So I found that when I go to schools and I say, okay, what bothers you? And children will say, oh, global warming and poverty. And I say, hold on. Then I show them a story of little Ganesh who went to school, or somebody who reduced the weight of school bags. They say, can I say that? I said, you can say whatever you want. We want to listen. So when you relieve a child of the burden to change the world and tell them you need to only change your world, it becomes a beautiful liberation and freedom. So I think what we're telling teachers is use this for inspiration. Maybe you don't want to do Design for Change. Show the videos. They're all just great morning stories. You can start every day by showing a video of change. Then the children will say, oh, I can also do this. And then download the toolkit and follow it.
I find it easy to change the kids, but what about changing the teachers?
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I have great faith that all teachers want to be great teachers. Sometimes we don't know how. And I think with Design for Change, we are saying it's so easy because you don't need any further training. It's actually very simple because you have to just stop talking and you have to listen. And it's so much easier But sometimes teachers feel worried. Oh, if I don't instruct, if I don't tell them what to do, will they do it right? So we're saying just try it. Hand over the power and just step back and let children and believe. And then when we find that when teachers taste that idea, they say, oh, that's wonderful. I didn't think that my children would be so fantastic. So I think all of us can do this.
And what do we do with inspectors and politicians and PISA testing?
Make them do design for change.
That's right.
Yeah. See, this is in some ways a revolution, in some ways an evolution. I think it needs both. The revolution was in the framework, but the evolution comes with time, and it has to be in the system. And sometimes habits take time, but we have to have the stamina. We can't give up. It'll come.
Do you have experience of working with any governments or any systematic change?
Yes.
Could you describe?
Yes, lots of times in India and in other places. We have worked with some fantastic government partnerships where we've had amazing supervisors and coordinators. I think the only struggle sometimes is that they'll get transferred or the person will change, and then you have to start that relationship all over again. But with government, the one thing that they can do that we cannot is scale. So once you have somebody who understands the idea and says, I like it, they can roll it out to all the schools, right? So I think working with the government is very important, but it can be also extremely challenging. But I think if you feel that it is, children need it more than your I think what I've learned is stamina. I've learned that this is a marathon race. This is not a 100-meter dash. So I think you just have to go back. You just have to go back, and you just have to go back. So it'll come.
Obviously, now you are a world leader. You travel all the time.
I'm a world leader, yeah.
Is that what is the importance of leadership in a change?
I think I've had a huge luxury and I think to have a leader like Mahatma Gandhi, who was born in the state that Riverside is. So I think to have an icon or an example of a leader that tells you have to lead with moral authority and not positional authority has shaped a lot of what I like to do or I think we should do. So it's not about the position, it's not about your CV, it's not about your visiting card, it's not about the name tag on your on your door. I think it's the idea of walking the talk, right? So I believe very strongly in that. I believe that you cannot tell a story if you don't live the story. You have to live the story. Only then your body will light up and your eyes will light up and your bubbles will light up. Otherwise, people can make it out. So I think for me, I find inspiration from his life and his message of be the change, and I think for me that's what I've tried to do. Yeah.
India must have something special. Montessori was there for such a long time,
Yeah.
and is a source of inspiration for so many. What do you think makes your culture inspiration for so many people?
I think India has everything. It has a little bit of everything for everyone. If you want faith, you can get that. If you want culture, you can get that. If you want community, you can get that. If you want stories, you can get that. It is a remarkable country. It is flawed and fabulous, I feel, and I think that's lovely. It's not perfect, and it is not. It has not got clean answers, and it has not. It doesn't have all the solutions. but in that messiness and in that organic structure, in the fact that it's the largest democracy, in the multiple languages and stuff, I think it just gives you hope. It gives you that you will find someone who you will walk this journey with and this life with. And I think it's a very welcoming and forgiving country also. I think that's important. I think you need to have a country that also forgives and welcomes in equal measure. So I think that's what India is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, in the way the world is going so fast and the culture is changing, is a risk of losing those values?
Yes or no? I think every time in human history has a certain story. We keep forgetting that in our time, I think our parents felt the loss of a previous generation or traditions and rituals and stories. So I feel sometimes I think like my mother did. Oh, when I was young, and she was saying, oh, you don't do this or you don't do that, and what is the world coming to? But the world has served us well. It has given us great progress in multiple ways, whether it is health or longevity of lifespan or clean water coming out of taps. Nobody thought that would ever happen, right? So I feel every generation has to believe and has to have the confidence that we're in the right direction. If we start by saying, oh my God, nothing's going to change, and oh my God, we will respond to the world with that negativity and that sense of pessimism. And the world cannot have pessimistic citizens. It has to have optimism. It has
so you are an optimistic
Oh,
yourself.
totally. Absolutely.
You participate in many of those world big events, and everybody seems to find inspiration about the future and technology and the jobs that doesn't exist. But you seem to find inspiration in the roots.
Oh.
And so it's quite a big contradiction. What's the role of all these big changes and technology investment and all these things that seems...
I don't know much. I was that last generation who was at that cusp of, I grew up without internet, I grew up without a television. And so I've seen the dramatic shift. I feel that human evolution and technological revolution, okay, the human evolution takes its while. It still pays. And technology is going at its own pace. I think somewhere we're playing a catch-up game. I mean, I still can't. Every time I take a new phone, I don't know how to use it. my
feel the same.
Oh my God, I feel so helpless at times. And yet, I see my children using it with such confidence, and they tell stories which are good. I don't know whether what we will see in another 100 years. It'll take us a while to look back and see whether we have done right. Yes, there are some red flags about being too obsessed, but that's true for anything. Don't eat too much food or don't exercise too much, both things, right? So I think I just feel, at least this is for me, I mean, I don't know about how, I love face-to-face connection rather than interface connection.
Do you think being a woman makes a different perception of things?
I don't necessarily associate gender to the roles I play or to my life story. Gender doesn't define my life, or gender doesn't define my decisions. I feel competency has to be, whether you're a male, a female, whatever your inclinations are. I think competency finally will make the difference. It's not, you can't make excuses, or you can't say it's a value system. It exists, it is. I am a woman. I've enjoyed being a mother because of the fact that I'm a woman, and I think that has been a marvelous gift and opportunity. But in the work I do, I have to be competent. I might be a mother and all of those in the roles I play here, but in the work, there's no excusing lack of competence. That is any person's story. You just have to build and pursue excellence and depth and all, and that's a lot of hard work no matter what gender you are. So I'm not interested in that.
So, but in India, the girls have it more difficult, because my experience in Africa, for example, is that the education of the girls have a big handicap, especially to have access to secondary schooling, for example. The society still pressurizes a lot.
Yeah, I would not say just in India. I think across the world we find that there are challenges more for young girls, and this across the world. I would not keep this about a country-specific idea. And I think we still have to do much work there. I think the work we do eradicating polio and malaria, we should have the same urgency to our girls, the same urgency to even growing up our boys as humane citizens. And I think it's a responsibility that schools can play a big role in as well. So it's we're human.
Okay. And how do you see yourself in 20 years time?
Oh, I don't see myself tomorrow. I don't know. Hopefully I will still be a work in progress. Hopefully I will still be flawed and fabulous. Hopefully I'll be still asking questions and not having answers. I don't know. I'm not a fan of plans, and I'm not a fan of looking at where I will be. I didn't know today I will be here speaking to you.
No.
So I just know that if I do today well, tomorrow will be taken care of. So